Hi, this video is for those of you who are trying to complete grade 8. I'm working today from Theory 4 from Conservatory Canada. Some of you may be working from the Royal, but I'll make separate videos for you for this. And so you have to have this theory done and your playing or your practical exam to be able to achieve the arts credit, arts high school credit that's recognized by the Ontario government. And so I think it's a very good thing to have so that you can put that on your curriculum vitae once you get into university. It does definitely separate you when you're trying to write for scholarships once you're done high school. Because it shows you are a highly disciplined individual working with some extra credits that perhaps somebody who just has, they've got as good of marks in high school as you, but they haven't done this kind of thing as an extra. And it's highly recognized by people who are giving out scholarships, by universities, colleges, and down the road your employer. So I highly recommend that you continue on with this. So in the very first chapter, understanding scales, and if you watch videos from famous players, whether it's jazz players, whether it's classical players, and they're talking about what does a person need to know to be able to accomplish good playing, they'll always say, theory first, performance next. And I'm a firm believer in that too. If you cannot understand what you're playing, what's the point? You're just going to create some sound and there you go. I have talked to students in the past who have come and have said, oh yeah, I've got my grade 8 practical, I want to learn some theory now. And then I'm sneaky about it, but I'll say, oh, so what did you play for your grade 8 exam? And some of them don't even know the titles of the music that they played and don't even know the composers, don't understand where their pieces change, what key it was in. So it's like, I don't know, walking down my street, not being able to find my house because I don't know my house number. Anyway, I could go on about that. But here we are, the scales. And for most people, they think it's like boring to write. And I do get that. It is boring to write these out. So I would definitely play them all the time too. But here we go. A major scale. Major scales are always based on tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. That always, always, always is there. And so in your writing, you are going to have to write scales and then highlight with a slur where the semitones are. I just like to remember that it's between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. So those are easy numbers to remember. Remember though, when you go backwards, back down a scale to get that semitone motion in as well. What else is here? Oh, then we get into minor scales. Okay, so as you know, we have 3 types of minor scales that you have to worry about. We have the natural minor, which means that you are just using the key signature from the circle of fifths. You're not adding anything. So if I had a 1 sharp and I was doing E minor scale, I will not be adding anything else to that but the 1 sharp. And so these are numbers I would put down on a little card. I tend to, if you were in the studio, I would give you these shipping tags that we can clip together with all the things you really need to know. So on your first shipping tag, or let's say just a cue card or whatever, I want you to be able to put down the word major scale and then 3, 4, 7, and 8. For the natural minor, you need to write 2 and 3, like 2-3. I'll show you closer. 2 and 3, 5 and 6, and then as we go down, 6 and 5, 3 and 2. So there you go. This is what it looks like when you do all those semitones throughout. They also have this block thing here called a subtonic, and that's just referring to the 7th note. Sometimes you'll see it in different ways, but it's a whole tone at this point, so that's why it's called a subtonic between 7 and 8. However, when you get into the harmonic form, because the 7th note of a harmonic minor is raised, so once again, if I was an E minor, I would have an F sharp in my key signature, but right before I get to the next E, I have to raise the D to a sharp. And so now that's created a semitone. So down in here, can I get my camera on here? You can see that as I'm going up, I have 2 and 3, 5 and 6. Now I also have 7 and 8 to be added in. That's why we need the cue cards, because there's a couple numbers to remember. And then finally, the melodic form. In the melodic form, if you can remember from all your practicing, that when you go up, you raise the 7th, but when you go down in the scale, you lower that. So the numbers are going to be different from the up and down, between the up and down, and the 6 notes raised as well here. So we have, once again, 2 and 3, no 5 and 6 this time. So 2 and 3, 7 and 8, but now we're going down naturally, so you have 6 and 5 and 3 and 2. That one's a little bit trickier to remember. Then you're going to have oodles and oodles and oodles and oodles of writing. And here you're going to have to remember, how your stems go. Always P's and D's, depending on whether you are above or below or which way your scale is going. As you notice from my answers, I've had, like, some of them I've kept them all the same way. Some of them I've changed up a little bit, especially if I need to insert some rests. So ahead of that though, here's a list of how we refer to the degrees of the scale. The degree means just like, what note number am I in the scale? So if I'm on my first note, it's called the tonic. The second one is the supertonic, meaning it's over the tonic, like Superman. And then the third note is mediant. Fourth is subdominant, meaning it's under the dominant. Then we get to dominant. And then number 6 is a funny one. It's called submediant, but it's referring to where it is from the upper half. And then here we go, the leading note for number 7. And Royal will refer to it as the leading note as well. It'll also, you'll see leading tones. There's a couple of ways they talk about it. And then the tonic is at the top again of that scale. There's an explanation here that Stephen Fielder, bless his soul, wrote out so that you can understand it better if you would like to. But on your little cue cards, you should really write this whole order out and practice and memorize that, because it's referred to constantly throughout this entire book. So tons of scales. Oh, the one thing in these is that besides writing out the scales, like, so you've got all these bullet points to get, and on the exam you get marks for achieving each one of these bullet points, and that's what the examiner would be marking and checking. Dr. Sean Kim here in Thunder Bay, who's a good friend of mine, he is kind of one of the head examiners and markers of your theory from Conservatory Canada. He also marks for Royal. So he's just a wonderful resource to have here in Thunder Bay, and there's of course a few others who do marking, but yeah, he's great. Now, in order to write all these things out, you also have to be aware of, from your theory 3, rest placement. So you might have to get into your Theory 3 book and remind yourself about the strong, weak, medium, weak rules, the strong, weak, weak, and the and strong, weak, as well as compound time. So in 6/8, meaning strong, weak, weak, medium, weak, weak, or 9/8, you've got 3 sets of those. 12/8, you've got 4 sets of those. You might have to go back and review. And if you have questions about that, I will be posting some videos on rest placement in the near future. Just depends on me and my cancer and what's going on here. But I'm trying my best on good days just to keep you up on it. So there are how many pages of scales? There are 8 pages altogether. The very last page also reminds you of the tenor clef and the alto clef. So remember that where that funny 3, like I'm calling it a funny 3, but where it has that squared off straight line, that's middle C. So Theory 3, you may have to just have a quick look at the alto clef and the tenor clef as well. So get to work on these scales. If you've already done this chapter, like a long time ago, like a year ago when we started it, or for some of you who are putting it off, you may have to go and either erase your answers and rewrite them, or just get, download a piece of scrap staff paper. Well, it shouldn't be scrap if you're downloading it. But anyway, get some staff paper. You can find like blank staff paper online, just Google it, print it off, and then please do your exercises and then hand them in to me. I have everything basically written out because it's easier for me for marking, but I would like to be able to see that. You can scan and email it to me as well. And for sure, any questions that you have, you can contact me through WhatsApp. You can text me at my cell phone, 807-251-0572, and so I can answer your questions. And yeah, have fun. Talk to you soon again.